Well, welcome everyone. This is Colin Clark, and today we're going to do our Fiduciary Fitness podcast. I've invited my colleague, Bill Ridley, who is a commercial lines sales executive here in Hub Mid-Atlantic. And so I want to welcome Bill to today's podcast. Welcome, Bill.
Hey, Colin. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Well, good. I know in preparation for this podcast, we were talking about the fact that we both love hockey. And I sit on the couch and watch hockey. You actually play hockey. Is that fair?
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Okay. I try to.
Now, you told me you play something called beer league hockey, and I want to understand a little bit more. And I know all of our podcast listeners are very intrigued by the term beer league hockey. Does that mean you drink beer while you play hockey?
It depends on the night. It depends on it depends on who's there and who we're playing, how we're playing.
I was just thinking you got a big trophy of beer if you won the beer league hockey, but I played street hockey growing up. I can't skate to save my life, but it sounds interesting. But I guess you're burning calories so you can drink beer later, which is better than me drinking a beer while I'm watching hockey.
That's the thought behind it. That's how I'm able to convince my wife that I'm going to go play hockey and disappear for a few hours, a couple nights a week. So.
Well, you don't have to drink beer to play beer league hockey for those who don't like beer.
But that's true.
I thought that was funny. So
yeah, it's just a good way to get out there and still
stay in shape.
Keep the game alive and keep the dream alive for us and stay in shape. We have a real good time doing it.
Yes, we're always much better in our minds at our former sports, right? So thanks for being here today. One of the reasons why I invited you to come on the podcast today is, whenever we're doing our workshops and we're working with plan sponsors, we get a lot of questions around what your fiduciary liability is. And that, we talk a lot about, types of insurance that you can have, but that's not my expertise. That's your expertise. So as a plan sponsor, what am I liable for and why should I have fiduciary liability insurance?
Yeah, as a plan sponsor, you are responsible for fiduciary duties and responsibilities that come along with that. And your personal assets can be on the line. So the fiduciary liability coverage will kick in and protect the fiduciaries and the plan sponsor for claims that may arise against them.
So, but of course, you deal with commercial insurance overall for the organization. If I'm a plan sponsor, I'm in HR or finance, what other types of insurance are there and why isn't this covered inside of those policies?
Yeah, good question. There's a lot of different types of coverage. There are different policies that protect against different risks. And so the fiduciary liability is really specific to fiduciary responsibilities. Other policies that come into play are things like employee benefits liability. That's a kind of a small endorsement to a general liability policy, and it's not as broad in scope. And then there's a policy, it's sometimes confused with fiduciary liability, but a fidelity bond or a fidelity policy, also sometimes called an ERISA bond. And so that's kind of another policy that would come into play here. And that one actually is required to have. So that's something that you definitely also want to consider.
So, in just as a teaser, we're going to do a couple of different segments of this podcast. So stay tuned. We're going to talk more about the ERISA bond here in a minute, but I want to hone back in on the fact that what I've learned over the years is the devil's in the details with these fiduciary liability policies. So, there might be fiduciary liability insurance, but does it have to be specific to ERISA?
Yes.
Yeah. So I need to look at my errors and omissions, my directors and officers, right? And there might be some sort of fiduciary liability, but I need to double check that with my current, broker or agent and make sure that it actually is covering me for my specific retirement plan. Is that fair?
Yeah, you definitely want to review that. And that's something that employers and organizations should be looking at and reviewing with their broker and making sure that they have the various coverages in place that are needed. So that's definitely something you want to review.
Really, the takeaway from right now is the idea is, one, do you have fiduciary liability insurance? Two, is it really protecting you for your operations of your retirement plan? And then should I, then I need to be reviewing that. I mean, is that a fair takeaway?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, awesome. Bill, thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy our show, we'd love for you to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you access your podcasts. The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Global Retirement Partners, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Global Retirement Partners, Washington Financial Group, a division of Hub International Mid-Atlantic, and Hub International are not affiliated with LPL Financial. Global Retirement Partners, LPL Financial, Washington Financial Group, and Hub International are not affiliated in any way with the services offered by any guest on this show.
Poor Jeff, he's having to listen to this conversation. All right, hopefully Jeff can edit that, right?